Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with our executive coach, our friend, our pilot, our man who believes in leadership, changes, helps people change, make them into better leaders in every aspect of life. Excited to have you here and excited to know more about your background. I know the PhD, you're doing the coaching, you're into so many things, an author, working on a movie. But to describe you, Randy, I would have to say, Marshall Goldsmith, certified executive coach, founder of Coaching for Relevance. How's that?
There, there you go. There you go. And the PhD is a little bit on hold right
I
now
know
just
you're
because of
working on
the
it. I meant
schedule and all
working on
that.
it. Yes, but
But
you
yeah. So cool.
author.
But
Okay. What tell us a
yep.
little bit about yourself and we'll talk about leadership today, please.
Okay. I'll just mention this as I think you know, but my autobiography has been published. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
on Amazon and my NPN Hub folks and now Coach Pulse over there in Europe has are putting together a whole new marketing strategy for it, which is pretty cool. And like you said, the Hollywood movie documentary, My Life Journey, is about to be published toward the end of the month. I'm going to be, I think, flying up to New York City to go into a professional television studio, and I'm going to be the guest on a TV show that is, my understanding, is published for thousands of people all around. So I'm sort of humbled at that, but that's just a lot of things that are going on, and it's really good. And for me, I just love bringing this aspect of leadership and all of those aspects of it and the neuroscience applications um, to professional people that were not totally aware of that before. So that's my value. That's what I do, and it's what I'm going to do until I take my last breath, kind of thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And for today, what aspect of leadership did you want to dive into to start?
Well, one thing I'll just share with you, and Jill, you know this from last week. There may be some people that
Yep.
are out there today that are watching it that weren't able to be here last week.
So
So
a
I'll
little
just mention,
recap. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll just recap it very quickly, but then I'm going to kind of explore and move forward with this a little bit and put it into a little bit more of a key aspect of it, and I'll bring out a couple of insights, but I'll also bring out one insight to a rising star, which is a family member, which is a good picture of exactly what I'm talking about. And so, when you're talking about leadership, it's not just dealing with people that are over 20 years old. It's people that in their growth pattern and who they're becoming. It's if you use good leadership, amazing things can happen. But just from what we went over last week, you remember I mentioned to you that there was one manager that I saw, and I've seen others sort of do the same thing. That what she did is she was in trying to talk to a couple of the people that work for her, she was putting stuff up and doing everything in her power to get them to explore into laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is she's trying to get them. Leaders do not take people into their emotions, because when you take people into your emotions, in their emotions, what you're trying to do is to get them to throw their brain and their knowledge and their processing ability into the trash can and not use it, and just sort of capitulate to you. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but that's the one thing that I mentioned last week. And I talked about how when you're trying to connect with your people in such a way that uh, that's not how you do it. You don't make them dependent on you, and you don't just try to get them to throw the other stuff aside. What you do is you connect with them in an ongoing way that builds the synergy, the oneness, the processing, the growth, the becoming, and the ability of what you and your team are trying to accomplish. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's not just getting them to laugh at you and call attention to you because you're making them laugh or whatever. That doesn't totally work. So, and it's not leadership.
Yeah.
uh, Leadership is a lot more with connecting with people. And And I will say this, that I've seen a lot of my military experience, but also my civilian experiences and all this. As you know, Jill, I've worked with a lot of different leaders and managers along the way. And one of the things that I have mentioned before, and I'll just share it real quick here again, the single best amazing leader with whom I've ever served, and this was in the military, in the Air Force, was General Richard B. Myers, and he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff from
Mm-hmm.
2001 to around 2005. And the reason that I say this is because not because of anything he ever told me, not because of anything he threatened me or told me to do or anything like that, but because of everything that I observed
Yeah.
in him. And it made such a difference in my life. And that's one of the things that you do. And guess what? People don't just observe you for 90 seconds when you're playing a game with them. You know, that's
Mm-mm.
and so it's when you're talking about this aspect of leadership, and particularly when you're trying to make your team ready to be
Mm-hmm.
successful in organizational maneuverability concepts, you got to realize that that is a key
Yeah.
truth. And one of the statements, in fact, I posted it on my social media this morning, is a quote that I've said a number of times, and it's this: when you talk about true leadership, true leadership is is caught more than taught. And
Yeah.
you know what? When you when you're catching it and your people see something that you did in the way that you did it, and they go, "Wow, yeah, okay, let's do that to other people. Yeah, let's do that." And so true leadership, when you're developing it in your people and all that, it's much more caught because of what they experience and what they see and what they observe, much more than what you say. And so because it's much more caught than taught. And so when you think about that, you got to realize that when you're you know being a leader and you're trying to connect with your team and build leadership in your team, you do that by the few times, perhaps every week or every other day or every day, where you're connecting with somebody. And here's part of the challenge of that a lot of people don't realize: it's not just rote academic stuff,
No.
but every single person on your team. And this is one thing I mentioned last week, where people have to go connect with your people on an ongoing way. And why is that? Because the way that you get that going in your people, every person that works for you, guess what, is a little different. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Leadership is not rote academic. Leadership is not just do this, kind of thing. It's understanding what the real role and the real success point is when you're working with this person or these two people or whatever, and how that may be different when you're working with
Mm-hmm.
this person over here or this person. And a lot of people don't realize that, but that's the
No.
the the the, the true critical aspect of sort of what we're talking about. If all you're trying to do is to make it so that your people say, "Okay, I enjoyed being with you for those 90 seconds or whatever while you threw out this little humorous thing." Now, when you're working with them, are there times where you can all laugh together? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? If that is your priority for what you're doing, you're not getting the job done. And that's what a lot of people don't fully understand. And it's just something to realize. And the big thing that I just want to kind of mention to people, and then I'll kind of, because this is the way that I've worked for so long. And I've been amazed at how people throughout my holy cow, 45 year career, I've been amazed at how people have made comments about
Mm-hmm.
something that they saw or noticed in me and what I did and how I did it and everything. And I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying they understood the difference in that. But just realize that true leadership is not just dictating, it's not just coming up with stuff. Because here's the thing, some of the people on your team
Yeah.
may gain an insight that you didn't see. You know what? Are they going to shut it off and shut their
Yeah.
brain off because that's what you don't want? No, they're going to feel comfortable that as a team they can at least mention it and things of that nature. But it's just really amazing that true leadership and actually development in your people happens when you're connecting with them on a day-to-day basis. And you know what? Sometimes that'll be 2 minutes when you're talking about something. Sometimes it'll be something where when you kind of engendered a question, it brought out a real question in their mind that they've been thinking about for 3 weeks. And they bring it out and it makes you go, oh, yeah, you know what? Let's talk about that for a second. Let's explore that a second, kind of thing. And sort of working together and everything. But if you think about it, the true leadership and the true and the true development in your people and the true awareness and the growth
Yep.
aspect of your team comes from how you connect with them and how you contact with them periodically and how you do it in such a way that it is amazing for them. And I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and just share this one picture. And then if you want to, ask any questions or whatever, I welcome you to do that, Jill. But I'll share this picture because it's a picture of my non-biological great granddaughter that she um, is one example of the incredible growth and success of what I'm talking about. Because you may remember, and I think I may have shared this on a show long time ago. I can't remember, but when her father and her mother were married, the mother was actually, and I don't want to say anything else about this,
Okay.
was
Okay.
actually very, very abusive and
Hmm.
and not good. And the father elected uh, uh, to divorce and stuff. But because of the evidence and the proof of the abuse, the father, who was the non-biological father, the father was given exclusive custody rights of the two kids, and it was like, good, they're okay, kind of thing. And the mother was only allowed supervised visitation rules because of her abuse and the vindictiveness and
Oh.
all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, I you may remember me saying this before. I don't know, but just about, oh, I think it was about a day after it was all finalized, I got a phone call from the grandson there that he said that Hallie, the little girl who at the time was about 4.5, 5 years old, was sitting on his lap for 2 hours crying, and she was saying, "Why doesn't mommy love me?" And all this sort of stuff. And I said, "Jeff, what did you do?" And he looked at me. Well, he didn't look at me because we were on the
Yeah. Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. But
But he said,
paused and said,
but he paused. Thank you. He paused and said, "Well, to be honest, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything." And I said, "Jeff, you did it exactly right." And that sort of surprised him a little bit. And I said, because what you did is you didn't badmouth anybody. You didn't do anything like that. But on the other hand, you helped your daughter experience that she didn't have to go through tough times alone. And I said, the fact that you sat there for 2 hours and held her and didn't badmouth anybody, you did it right, Jeff. And to that's just one little example, but the he actually got remarried to another lady who the daughter really liked her, loved, loved her and everything, and they're actually a good family now. But but I will say this, that when you think about that, this
mm-hmm.
aspect of connecting with people and not just telling them, so many times when you have sons or daughters growing up and they're small, people have a tendency of just telling them everything and all this kind of stuff. That's not what these folks were doing. What they are doing is they connect with these kids in such a way that the kids experience things. They learn things from experience and observation and all of this. And were there a couple of times probably where they had to answer a question? Yeah. But you know what? Not all that often. The kids are doing well. And if you think about the girl right now, she just finished ninth grade this last year. So this August and September, she goes into the sophomore year, 10th grade in high school. But last year, she actually joined the track team of her school. And
Wow.
and to make a long story short, hearing her talk about what she was doing and all of this was amazing. And what is really sort of amazing, I got sent a couple of pictures because at the very end of the school year, at the end of the season, the coach of the girls track team there called her up on a platform, I guess, or something, and and basically gave her two awards
Wow.
for what she had done during this year and stuff. And this and my great granddaughter there is looking to become a certified nurse in her career, helping other people and all that kind of stuff. And but I'll tell you what, when you look at her in the way that she interacts with her brother, who's about 3 years
Mm-hmm.
younger than she is, when we all get together to eat dinner or whatever, and stuff and talk and have fun, the way she interacts is priceless in a good professional way, even though she doesn't wear it. But how was she developed to be
Yeah.
like this and to be able to contribute that? How? Because of the way the parents interacted with her. It's not that they came along and told her what she needed to do or whatever, but they interacted in a way where she experienced something different. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, but that's a key aspect of true leadership. Even if you're dealing with
Wow.
adults in your team, it's what are they experiencing? What makes them want to be in on this team? What what is it that makes it look like it's just totally different from what else they've been used to, and things of that nature. And so when you're talking about this key aspect of leadership, it's not just about telling people what to do. It's not just about pointing fingers. It's not just about talking about yourself or anything like that. It's about interacting and connecting with people in such a way that they are experiencing some unique aspects of leadership that they may not have seen before. And it's making a big difference in the team's experience and in yours. And so it's just something to think about when you look at these aspects of it. And like I said, that's just a little bit of an expansion and a going forward a little bit from what we went over last time, last week and everything. But it's true leadership is not just about, just pointing fingers, telling people, and you know what, I'm the leader, so I just got to tell you what to do, and you got to shut up and go do it. That's not real leadership, and it's connecting with them in such a way. And like I said, if you and I'm very serious about this, that quote that true leadership is more caught than taught. It's not something that just is on the board and okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 bullet points, do all six of these. That can sometimes help, but it's not true leadership. True leadership is truly caught when people experience the truth. And you know what? For people that are listening that are looking to continue on and become leaders in their organization or in some part of it, guess what? If you interact in such a way that makes your team go, come here, we want to share something with you.
Mm-hmm.
How about if you are you interested in taking over this position and getting a promotion on it? Whoa, kind of thing. So it's not just about telling, dictating, or controlling. And it's not about just kind of making fun things where people put their brains aside and just capitulate to you right for this second, kind of thing. It's deeper than that. And like I say, the only reason that I brought my, great granddaughter's picture, a picture of that in here is because guess what? It has made a huge difference in who she is becoming, and she's doing great in school. Um, and she has a vision of what she wants to accomplish when she graduates, go to school and become a registered nurse and really go in and help people and things of that nature and all of this. But none of that is because of anything anybody told her. It's a lot of what she has experienced. And and it's amazing when the new mother came in and her dad and the mother got married, and I totally appreciate who they are and their marriage and their relationship and family and all that. But the first time that I talked to them after they got married, the mother was almost broke into tears for a second
Mm.
because she said the day before we made the marriage official,
Oh,
Hallie ran up to me and gave me a big hug and told me how much she appreciated me.
oh,
And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." And so, Hallie does things like that and these insights that she has and with who she is becoming is because of this aspect of leadership that I'm describing here and what those adults did and what the family did and all that kind of stuff. But that's a good picture of it. If you want your team to truly become, and perhaps make it a sense where you want your team to become and grow and become longer for this organization and to be able to be promoted up and make dramatic uh, aspects happen, guess what? You can do that, but it's not just about telling people and it's not just about quoting rote little things, but it's about really modeling that true leadership. And that's where people learn. So, like I said, the true leadership is more caught than taught, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. But it's sort of a good picture of that.
wow. And by the way, how old is Haley?
What's that?
How old is your granddaughter?
Well, right
Well,
now she's like 15. She just turned 15. As
ah,
I was talking to her dad on the phone, and I said, "You realize she's within about a year of getting her driver's license?" And he went, "Oh yeah." And I kind of mentioned that to her one time when we were just sort of, talking. And I said, "You're within about a year of getting your driver's license." She said, "But I could get my, driver's permit and stuff like that." And I forgot exactly when, but it was like in a few months kind of thing, and all that. But it's like she's some of the things that she does at 15 years old right now is she strategizes, she understands, she visualizes, she gains a visual for what she's wanting to become, and she automatically thinks within her mind and processing a little bit about what she needs to do to accomplish this or that and everything. And that is something that 10 to 15-year olds typically don't see a lot of.
yeah.
But that is true leadership, and where that came from is the way that those two parents interacted. Like I said, they don't come in and just talk and say, you need to do this, you better watch out for this going forward and all this sort of stuff necessarily, unless she asked a question. But for the most part, she experienced
Mm-hmm.
how they interacted and all of that. So it's just, with somebody's team in a workplace, guess what? All of
Yeah.
that comes into play. And it's just it's something to think about. True leadership is bigger and deeper than most people realize. And it's amazing things can happen as if you're becoming a true leader.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. My goodness. Wow. Always powerful and Oh, my heart goes out to her and to so many children out there that deal with this. And as you were talking about your story, I know two other people in similar situations. And, we're born with specific parents and we're born a certain way. And some people say, my life's not perfect, my parent, my sibling, my this, but it's all part of the plan and it's how you handle it. It's like a test, I believe. And I just believe in above, it's all meant to be. And how you handle it and get through it is so beautiful. And, I
And
just pray that most people can get through it. Not everybody can. So it's so
yeah,
brave of her.
and you
And
know what? You're right, because a lot of people don't understand how to truly get through it
no,
in a true leadership successful way, as opposed to just trying to dictate and control and play games with it and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it goes to the heart with what you just said. That goes to the heart of what we just talked about. So it's a key part of leadership. So thank you for sharing what you did, because you're right.
thank you. All right. So how do we contact you?
Okay, you can contact me again. If you go to my website, the homepage at the bottom of the homepage, it has my email address on it. It has my cell phone number on it. If anybody wants to call, I know, Jill, you know this, but if anybody wants to call, you're not going to get sales pitches from me, because I don't do that. I just kind of connect with people. Now, if somebody has a need, yeah, we'll come up with something. Um, but if somebody just wants to have a chat, feel free.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. You have a fantastic day, and we'll connect again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, Jill, you have a wonderful one. I appreciate working with you all the time.
Same here. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.